So here's a little video basically on the Bluetooth controller and how it's going to work with the pinball arcade here. Get into the pinball arcade and make sure this thing's functioning. Sometimes with these cheap little Chinese Bluetooth controllers, you have to repair them or something if it goes into sleep mode. And just get into a table to test it with here and see if it's working right. So the easiest way to tell if you're paired is to move the joystick, and you can see it's moving the ball selections down here. Okay. Just here a little bit. So you press the start button, it'll start the game. Obviously, you pull back on the joy and it'll work. However, with this thing, your buttons are wonky. The top button is your right button, and your left button is the bottom button. So that's kind of messed up. That's kind of normal with these little Bluetooth things. But what I'm going to do with this thing is we're going to take this thing. I've already taken it apart here. Get rid of that. We're going to drill 4 little holes. One here, one here, one here, and one here. We'll remount the battery. When you take it apart, the battery's stuck on there pretty well. You need to unstick it with a piece of double stick tape. You unstick it, but you grasp it by the edges and peel it up very, very carefully and slowly, and it'll eventually come off. You don't want to try to rip it out of there. You don't want to try to stick a knife under there or anything like that, because you don't want to puncture the battery. But when you open it, you can see that the battery's like kind of sitting against the board already, and that's kind of dangerous because there's like sharp things on the board, but they're just making these things as butt cheap as they can. So, but anyway, a piece of foam double stick will go under here. This will just stick back to the board, and then the board is actually going to mount to the under panel of the machine. And this is going to be your right flipper button. This is going to be your left flipper button here. And as you can see, and then it'll become a natural movement, the pullback of the plunger. Let's see if I can do that here. With this hand. And then all of a sudden, your right finger is controlling the right flipper. Left flipper is being controlled by the left button here, and so you can actually put it on the bottom kind of over the phone and just do a little ghetto test of that. And also you could still use just the screen pullback for the plunger if you don't want to use the joystick. I'm just using the joystick as an example, but I'm literally just holding the thing against the back of the iPhone, but you could see how easy it becomes to then have a right-left functioning flipper on this thing. And the board is small enough to where and you just press the start button going for a new game. So that's what I'm going to do. That's kind of what I did with the other arcade little arcade junior that I took apart. The back panel already had buttons in. I just made it the bottom panel for the functioning flippers. So that's essentially what it's going to do here. The top will stay off the board. The board will be screwed in securely, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut an oval out of a piece of MDF to where you'll just see basically the joystick and the buttons sticking out of the bottom of the bottom panel of the machine. What I'm going to do also is, you can see here where the battery directly connects the board. In order to run a little lighting circuit, I'm going to run 2 little LEDs, a multicolor and then a static one. But you can see here, right here where I'm pointing, the positive B and then the negative here. So black wire here, red wire is going to get soldered on here. then I'll just have those wires go into a two-way switch, and that'll power the lighting circuit. That way the whole thing can be rechargeable and stay on board the unit. You'll never have to take the back panel off. What's going to go in here is a micro USB extension cable, so it'll plug in here, and then it'll have an extension cable with another female lead that'll go onto the back panel of the pinball that you'll be able to plug into to charge the control panel up whenever it needs charging. It doesn't really need charging that often, but it does occasionally. This is just like a tiny little battery. I don't know how big it is. But anyway, that's video number one. When I come back, I'll have that and the lighting circuit soldered on there, and it's just going to be a matter of building a cab for the phone and and then working this into the bottom panel, and that's it. You're going to have a fully functioning Bluetooth unit that will allow you to have button control. So it's all good. And I wanted to make this project as easy as possible for guys to do with like a minimum amount of modding work. I like to, simply because I like to kind of keep things easy on myself as well. But anyway, I'll have another video soon on when I have the circuit done on this, and then I'll probably start this week on drawing up a little plan for the actual side profiles, get those cut out, and I'll do another little video of cutting out and getting into the actual meat of building the cab. You're essentially just going to be building, just think wood shop. You're going to be building a box that cradles the phone. That's it, really. You're going to have to make a few special brackets, but I mean, there's just going to be a few little wood cross members that holds the phone in place. You can use some 3M double stick foam tape to hold the phone in there. I'll go through all that. It's actually not as intimidating as you might think. You just might need a few tools. I personally use a scroll saw to cut out all my sides with. You could potentially use a jigsaw, but I'll cover all the saws in another video real soon. Okay, so I've set myself up with a little micro soldering station here, and I'm gonna just go over real quickly as I can, hopefully without burning myself, the process of soldering the wires onto the board. What I'm going to do here real quick is I got my flux pin, positive and negative wires laid out here. I'm going to start by just dripping a little flux on the end, and then get a little solder onto the tips of these wires. So basically all you'll have to do when you go to the board is melt the solder. Hopefully that'll go quickly and smoothly. Of course, I'm making a video, so it probably won't, but whatever. Just want to try to drip a little bit of solder on there. So we've got a little solder on there, if you can see. That should be enough. This is called tinning. Not too hard, because the flux just kind of makes the solder suck right onto the metal pretty easily. I'm gonna get just a little glop on there. There you go. So, a little glop of solder on that guy now. Now, let's see if I can readjust the camera here and move in on the board. So negative's going to go to the white there. Let's see if I can do that without messing it up. Alright, I've got the unit held in with a little clamp. Jeez, this is awkward. Start by melting the connection here first, being very careful that I don't like totally disconnect it. It almost came totally disconnected there. I didn't flux it. That's a problem. Gotta flux it first. I'm gonna try to melt a little drip of solder down onto it. Soldering can be a real pain sometimes. Okay, so goal is to try to get those two melted together. Got the battery way out of the way, so okay, there's the negative on there. Alright. When soldering goes smoothly, it's pretty much that easy when it goes smoothly. A little flux on this tip. Get a little solder on the tip of the gun. Go in. Okay. See if we can get the red one in there now. Okay. Not pretty, but it'll be functional. So, these two red and black leads are going to power the lighting circuit, okay? So the lighting circuit's going to have two LEDs, but they're going to each be powered by one separate switch. So I'll go over that in the next video, the doing of the lighting circuit. And then from there, you're pretty much good to go to just start building the cabinet.